Okay, so I would like to introduce our today's first speaker, Mr. Aditya Purohit sir. Sir is from Tata Consultancy Services. Sir is having the experience of 13 years in the consulting, pre-sales, design and implementation of cloud platform technology and storage domain. Sir having the expertise in capacity planning, performance analysis and handling storage major issues. Sir having a fair knowledge in handling
Pan
data
ठेवू आंघोळीचं
migration on storage and fabric and OS levels. Sir is also having the expertise in communication, interpersonal, relationship management, and analytical skills. So now we will start with our first session. Sir, I would like to invite you for starting the first session. Sir, are you able to hear me, Aditya sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thanks a lot for the introduction and a very good morning to everybody who are in this session and who have take out the time from your busy schedule to join this one. So as the madam has already introduced about myself, I will not take much time talking about myself for a long time. So uh, before I get started and we deep dive into the cloud computing world, I wanted this course to be as much interactive as it is possible. While I'm presenting or I'm explaining about the concept, if anybody has any questions, any doubts, they can unmute and they can ask the question. So as much interactive as we can make this session, it will be beneficial for everybody of us. So my intention is like by the end of the session, at least you should have a fair idea about what the computing concepts are, what are its used cases, and it's like a buzzword, right? So many people talk about cloud computing these days. It's one of the most demanded technology, which is in talk of the IT world, and slowly and gradually it is going to overtake the complete market because now there are immense amount of possibilities which we are looking into after so many months of this pandemic where people are stuck in their hometown or they are stuck in their home and they have to still provide services and they have to still work out for their earning. So cloud computing is one of the platform which makes you ready for that, leverage for it, and it also makes you future ready. So before we get started, just give me a couple of minutes. I'm facing some challenge to join this meeting from my laptop where I have the presentation. So just trying to fix it out. But in the interest of time, I just wanted to kickstart with the introduction of the cloud computing. I would request everybody, if you're not speaking, to go on mute, so that will help us out to deliver this presentation smoothly. Sorry. So Bindu, I'm not able to hear you properly. Are you trying to ask some questions? Okay, that's all right. Yeah, so the target audience for this particular course are the people who are either related to the information technology domain or they have some knowledge about cloud fundamentals and they wanted to dive into how it is being worked out. And it is also specifically designed for the people who are part of this forum who wanted to understand what this is all about take a deep dive into the concepts of cloud computing, and then leverage on that particular knowledge which you can further give it to uh, a larger audience, or I would say to the college students and all, where they can make use of this concept and they can make a career out of it. Uh, so Bandhu, are you trying to say something? I'm getting some background noise. Okay, all right. Thank you. So I believe by end of the session, we should be able to talk about what is cloud computing, what is the benefit it gets out of it, what are the different controls we have across cloud computing, why it is the talk of the world as of now, what are the strategies which are being defined and which has been carved out across, and how we can leverage those capabilities to create business and create a change in the world where we can have a lesser footprint of traditional approach of IT infrastructure or IT platforms or IT softwares which are currently being hosted and which are currently being operational. So those are a few of the points which we need to fix, or I would say those were the problem statements which came as a part of a challenge for the IT landscape, and then people look towards finding a solution out of it. So now we'll take a step back and we'll talk about how this all started. So I'll take you back in the computer eras when in 1960-61 there was one gentleman whose name was John McCarthy, and he was into computers, and he predicted that okay, today we are working in a world where we are creating a computers who can process, who can compute some commands, some output out of it. But to him, he was a visionary, and he has already predicted that in a near future, you will see that this particular computers will get coupled, or they will be pooled as a part of single resource or as a part of cloud offerings. So back in 1990s early, this concept of cloud started booming up. When I say booming up, it was something where the backend big folks like Amazon world of it, Google, Microsoft, so they were working towards building a environment or an ecosystem which can solve a larger problem of the IT landscape. So in the 1990s early, they started with a terminology called as network cloud, where they started offering the shared services to a lot of their internal providers. Rajesh, can you go on mute? Rajesh, I'm getting some background noise. Okay. Can somebody mute Rajesh? Okay, thank you. Yeah, so basically, what happened in early 2000, everybody was pretty much clear that the way we are operating right now, that's not the right way to handle the landscape, and there is a huge amount of investment we are doing into the IT infrastructure, or in terms of the platform readiness, or in terms of investing into the software part of it. And they came up with a concept of something called as a cloud computing. We'll go into the definition of it. But when we say cloud, it is nothing but there's no such thing as cloud when we talk about. It is something which is high above the air, or something which you can only visualize about, right? You cannot touch, you cannot feel. So we have heard about this. The companies were also working about finding. Okay. So one request, guys, if you're not talking, you can go on mute because it is creating a lot of disturbance for the rest of the folks. Yeah, thank you. So Amazon, the Amazon world of it took it in their hand in 2006. They decided that okay, we will create a cloud platform and we will provide those services to our end customers. And in 2006, they launched Amazon Elastic Cloud, that is called as EC2. And the whole concept of launching this was on an initial stage where they thought of leasing out the compute and the processing thing to their customers. So when I say leasing out, it is as good as when we are looking for a house or when we are looking for an apartment or some services. We don't have a budget to buy a new house, which is really expensive for a lot of people, and it is also not a wise decision when you know that your requirement may change over a period of time. Like for example, somebody is buying a 3 BHK house, which is a sea-facing house, and it is costing you crores. And after some time, you get bored of looking at the sea, and you wanted to have a mountain view, but you are stuck with all your investment into that huge house, and you cannot get rid of it. But how about somebody comes up with a option of, okay, you only pay me a certain amount of money which you use it for, and I can give you a sea-facing house as much time as you want, and when you want it a change, you can go to a mountain-facing house. It's just a hypothetical example, just but to give you a feel of it. So cloud is something which came out of that uh, uh, concept where customers were having a problems. Customers were dying out of large investment they were doing on their IT infrastructure to manage the show. And then Amazon came up with the Elastic Cloud option where they said, okay, you don't own anything, we will own everything. If you don't want to own your operations, we will own that, and we'll make sure that everything runs smooth for you, and you will be able to run your business without any issues. So initially, there was a lot of hindrance. People were not ready to go into this particular working model, and they found it difficult. But the big leaders in the market were pretty much confident that this is what the future is all about. So sooner, Google also joined them, and they launched their Google engine in 2007, and then there was Google browser, which was launched, which helped them uh, again materializing this particular concept. So by 2009, everybody was pretty much clear that, okay, this is what the future looks like, and we have to plan for moving into it. So there are now multiple companies which are into the cloud computing offering. Okay, so before we go into the detail of what that cloud is all about, I just wanted to touch base quickly on the definition of cloud by different folks and different people. So if you go by the Gartner definition, the Gartner says that cloud is nothing but it's a style of computing, like in which you can scale and you can elastically enable your IT capabilities and deliver it as a part of a service to your customer using internet technology. So when we talk about cloud, it is more related to a scalable compute lying below and which use internet technologies to provide services to it. In 2009, there's one institute which is a Standard Institute of Technology, which is NIST. They have defined a definition for cloud computing, and it is a definition which is very much valid till now, and it is highly acceptable across the market. So NIST says that cloud computing is a model for enabling ubiquitous, convenient, on-demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computing. I'll break it out. Uh, what it means is this is it is enabling ubiquitous, convenient. Uh, when I say ubiquitous, what it means is it is highly available, and what it means is you can willingly scale it out. When I say on demand means when I am in a need of something, I am ready to be capable of having that. When I don't need it, I am ready to let it go. When I say shared pool, it is again something on the underlying layer. I have a lot of capacity or a lot of resources of computing which I can share it across multiple customers. And these all layers, when we talk about, I will touch base on these individual points again. But when we talk about the sharing of these resources, it means that you are sharing your networks, you're sharing your servers, you're sharing your storages, you're sharing your applications and the services associated with it to your customers at a very rapidly pace. That means that your go to provisioning time is very fast. and you require a minimum management efforts. So just to give you an insight about the management part of it. So you build something, that is one cost, but to manage that, or we call it as operations world. So the operation efforts for any services to manage is huge. And cloud computing is something which solves that purpose of operation efforts, which we use it in, in in the today's world. So there is a huge amount of costs which are involved when we talk about the operation aspects of it, and cloud computing help us in solving that problem. So if we talk about going into further details, if we talk about the abilities what the cloud computing offers, it leverages on the remote system. When I say remote system, it is something that you cannot see your servers, you cannot touch and feel of it, you don't know where they are. Okay, it can be anywhere in any location, and it is something which you are getting as a part of service. Moving on, if I talk about the next ability, that is something which talks about pay for only the resource you use. For example, if you go into a restaurant and you wanted to have a biryani, so but you don't have an option to buy a biryani of 50 rupees if you want to have appetite of that uh, value. You have to order a half plate or a full plate until even if you don't have the capability to eat that, so that rest of the amount is going wasted. And in cloud you have that flexibility of using pay as you, so you will be only paying for whatever you are consuming, you don't need to pay for everything. And then the most important feature is the scale up and the scale back as needed. So why this is important is, for example, I am a company who is growing at a very rapid pace. And when I say rapid pace, I'm going with a lot of acquisitions. I'm buying new companies. I'm merging with other companies. I have a very highly scalable environment. For example, if I say in our world, you take an example of Reliance. So Reliance are acquiring a lot of small companies. They are also building and adding up new businesses. So think about their IT infrastructure and think about their IT landscape, the amount of systems which are getting added on a daily basis and the amount of complexity we are adding on it. So for the outer world who is going to a Reliance digital store, or who is going to a supermarket of Reliance, or who is going to any outlet of Reliance, for him it is just a service. But for Reliance, they have to manage it all as a coupled, as a single service to end customer, so that they can have a flawless and smooth experience. But to do that, there are a lot of things they have to do at the back end to bring and club everything onto a single plate. So that is what the cloud computing ability gives you in terms of uh, providing you the flexibility, and in terms of providing you the leverage to use the underlying components in terms of infrastructure, in terms of software or applications to club together. Now, important aspects when we talk about cloud is divided into three major categories. So when I talk about categories, I'm talking about there are five essential characteristics. There are three service models and there are five deployment models. So we'll talk about what are the characteristics, we'll talk about what are the service models, and we'll also talk about the deployment models of it. And we will talk in detail. So these are the three, I would say, the pillars. If we are able to make out of these uh, three components, we will get a clear clarity about what this cloud is all about, what we are talking about it. And then when you go out and somebody talks about some technology, some jargons, or some words which are catchy to hear, but people think that there's something rocket science, you will be able to make it like, okay, this is what they're talking about, and that's what they mean to say. So basically, when we talk of I'm sorry, guys. Just give me a minute. Actually, I'm facing some challenges in terms of sharing my screen. So just give me a minute. I will fix it out. Sushil, you're there on the call, right? Sushil?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I have shared. Hopefully you can. Yeah, it will take some time, Sushil, to send it across. Yeah. So meanwhile, I'm just sharing the presentation. Uh, Let us continue. So we were talking about the cloud management platforms and the type of cloud we have in our environment, right? So there are a key drivers when we talk about any kind of cloud, and those key drivers are essential to decide like which cloud platform or which type of deployment model or which kind of service model or which essential characteristics are important to select the kind of cloud we offer to our customers. So, having said that, on a larger scale, there are key drivers which talks about what are the technology innovations we have in our environment, and what is the virtualization technology we have, how we can reduce the cost of the overall operations of it, and how we can manage and do the capacity planning, which is very important. Like when you are doing any kind of uh, 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 cloud management or any kind of cloud services providing, it is very important to do capacity planning, which because it decides whether you will be able to manage your customers on the kind of services you have committed as per your agreement. And then there is one more important aspect is your organization agility, which talks about how agile you are to change, adapt to the business requirements which comes uh, in your environment. Another important aspect is in terms of the high availability we talk about. So when we say that we are into cloud, any customer expects that your availability should be on a very high side. When I say availability, it is something which is in terms of the services you offer to your customers and the uptime you offer to your customers. So it is something which is very important for any business. For example, if you consider a case of a banking customer or you consider a case of an insurance company, it is very important that your uptime and your services are all the time available to your customers. Otherwise, what will happen is even a company cannot afford a downtime of a minute. Uh, Suppose you are going into a bank and you wanted to withdraw some money, or there is an important transaction which you wanted to do, and if that is not available, you cannot handle that, right? You will go haywire for the bank that how can the services are not available. So that is something which is very important in terms of handling any kind of cloud environment. So moving on, let's talk about what are the different kind of delivery models, or I would say what are the different kind of clouds which we have in the IT world. So basically, majority of it, there are three kind of majority of the delivery models in the cloud world, and then there are subcategories within that. So if I talk about what are the three kinds of models, so one is IaaS. This is something which is really important, and this will have crux of how you can handle the cloud technologies going forward. So I would request everybody to uh, take a note if you want to. That would help us out in understanding it in uh, a better detail. So basically, IaaS is something which is infrastructure as a service. So in the delivery model, when we talk about everything will work as a service, only thing is the concepts of delivery models will change. So there are three majority delivery models which talks about infrastructure as a service. The second one comes as platform as a service. And the third one is
Sorry,
software as a
Aditya,
service.
sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah,
As I share the
yeah,
screen,
Lalit.
actually, we are not able to see the screen.
Yeah. Actually, I have shared it across. Sushil will share it shortly. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Sir, please try at your end.
I have tried, Sushil. I don't know. Maybe it is organization
Sir, try it once.
level.
I just
Yeah.
changed some setting.
Sorry.
I just changed some setting to try at your end.
Okay. Okay. Let me give a try again. Okay. It's not still. It's not working, Sushil, for me. So it simply says to me that the site can't be reached for some reason. Okay, I think Sushil, it would be better that I share this presentation to you and you can present it out. That's the way I can see right now because it looks like there's some blocking which is happening and it is not allowing. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Please share the PPT.
Okay. So sorry guys. Uh, like really apologies. I don't know why it is not opening up. And for some reason, I have limitation that I cannot copy this particular presentation out of the laptop to some other device on my mobile phone. So otherwise, I could have. presented it there. So no problem. Sushil, I have shared this across to you. It should be across in a couple of minutes. And probably then it will make more sense for you guys to make out of it what we are talking about, right?
Sir, you mailed that PPT on Sushil.
Sorry.
Sir, kindly share, mail your PPT on Sushil ID.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've already done it, but the size is like bit on a higher side, so it will take some time for Sushil, like
Okay.
couple of minutes or so to download it.
Okay, sir. But yet you have not received your PPT on the Sushil mail. And that's why it's a problem to share the PPT from our side also.
Okay, it looks like there was some setting issue. I've just uh, rejoined this session, so probably I should be able to share it now. So can somebody give me presentation rights so that I can share it across? Sushil or somebody? Sushil, can you give me presentation rights so that I can share this presentation? I'm able to do it now from my laptop. Sushil, can you hear me? So I will need the presentation rights to share this content. Right now, I don't have that. Okay, I got it. Thank you. So let me know, guys, when you are able to see my screen so that we can quickly get started.
Visible.
So we are good now?
The screen is share.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes,
visible,
sir.
visible.
Okay, all right, perfect. And so sorry again, guys. I don't know what was the problem, but I think after some setting change from Sushil, it worked out. Good. So we will touch. We'll quickly recap so that it will make more sense for everybody to talk about what we are speaking about. So I will not take much time, but just these are my contact and email ID in case I may not be able to answer some questions, or there are some things which we are running out of time and we are not able to cover that out. Shoot up an email, or you can text me, call me, and we can clarify the doubts. So that's what my email ID and contact details are. You can take a note of it. And all right.
So moving on, we have already spoke about what is cloud, what is the definition about it, what are the abilities which cloud offers to us, right? So we were talking about the three major delivery models which we have in cloud, right? So basically, the three models which we're talking about were based out of the kind of clouds which we have in the industry. So I'll talk about uh, the deployment models of it later, but let's move to the three important delivery models which we have in our cloud services. So first one is IaaS, which I was talking about. It is something which is infrastructure as a service. Yeah. The second one is SaaS, which is the software as service, and the third one is PaaS, which is platform as service. So each of the three delivery models which we are looking on the screen, we will talk in detail and we'll make sure that we understand all the three in well detail, and so that it is I would say building block or the laying block for any cloud platforms. So there are different cloud providers which are available in industry, and all of them provide these three kind of delivery models as per the customer requirement. So when I was talking about IaaS, infrastructure as a service, you can see there is something which is written as data centers. So data centers are a physical, I would say, space where your servers, your network, your complete IT infrastructure is being laid out. It is a place, it is a dark room where all your servers are mounted. You would have seen in some Hollywood movies, as well as you would have seen in uh, some of the uh, uh, I would say in our I'm just missing that movie name, but you would have seen there are dark rooms where there are a lot of servers installed into it, and those places are there where everything is being hosted. So when we talk about cloud, it is nothing but there are a lot of data centers which is filled up with lot of servers, lot of network, lot of storage components which are installed inside data centers. Why they are installed inside data centers? Because that is something which is a controlled environment. If I don't know if you would have got some chance to visit into it, but it is a place where you have security features enabled there, you have a cooling control there, you have a security control there, and you run it on a controlled environment to provide the services. So that is infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure is something which is the underlying layer of any cloud. So cloud is, as I said, it's a word, and underlining it is nothing but you are sharing your resources underlining. Moving on to the next part of it, which is SaaS. It is software as a service. So, for example, if you need some software, right now we use a lot of softwares in our life on a day-to-day basis. So, one of the software which you talks about is Office 365, or one of the software which we talks about Teams or WebEx, which we are using it, and there are multiple applications which are there in our environment, right? So these are all software as a service where you don't need to buy all those software, you only need to pay for the software. The third kind of deployment model or the delivery model which we talks about is a platform as a service. So platform as a service in a layman terms talks about a bundle of a service what you need. You don't need to build anything on your own from the scratch and then start using it. So that platform is already built for you, and you are just a consumer for it to start using it. So these are the three very important delivery models on which a cloud foundation is being laid. Yeah. So moving on, these are the three deployment models which we are talking about. But before I touch base on the deployment models, I just wanted to give you an insight on the delivery model of it, which is the IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. There are other subcategories below that in the delivery models. So those categories are called as per the demand of the customer, like storage as a service, or database as a service, or security as a service, or integration as a service, or testing as a service, or VDI as a service. So these are the different kind of services, depends on what customer is looking for. Yeah. So moving on, when it comes to the deployment model of it, there are on a majority 4 kind of deployment of clouds. Okay, when I say deployment, it talks about how you want to set it up your cloud in your environment. So the 3 major categories talks about the public cloud, the private cloud, and the hybrid cloud. You would have heard about all these terms somewhere, but let us get into the detail of it, what it means. So there is one more cloud out of these 3, which is called as the community cloud, which I have not explicitly put it here because it confused people. Because community cloud is nothing but it is a kind of a public, but that public cloud is being shared across a community. When I say, for example, community, suppose there is a banking customer and he wanted to host his services onto a cloud. And he is ready to share that services with his community people. Like for example, a bank have multiple branches and they all are sharing that particular public cloud offerings. So there are definitely a lot of benefits, advantages, and then there are definitely challenges in terms of each kind of cloud. So if you look into this picture, when we talk about private, there is a lock, right? And that log talks about that it is more secure. When I say secure, private cloud is something where you own your complete infrastructure, where you own your complete software services, you own your complete platforms in a dedicated environment. So for example, you are opting for a private cloud, it means that you are the only customer who is availing that service and the underlying resources are not shared with anybody. So it is bit obvious that all of your environment is pretty much secured and nobody has access to it. We'll touch base more on this in the upcoming slides. Coming next is the public cloud. So public cloud is something which is elastic, scalable, and it is something which is readily available and on a vast and a majority scale. Like for example, if you want to expand it across geographies, across continents, then public cloud is something which you should target for. The third one comes about the hybrid. So definitely there are customers who may fit in private, there are customers who may fit in public, but there are always cases where one thing cannot meet all of your requirements. So there is a need where you want to segregate your workload into 2 different kind of cloud, and that's where the need of the hybrid cloud comes in, where you get a flavor of or the benefit of both private and public cloud, and you make use of both, where you decide that okay, my critical databases, my critical applications uh, are there, which I wanted to secure. I will put it into the private cloud. Then there are applications and workload which I think I can take risk, and that is something which I feel that okay, I am saving some cost on top of it, let me put it on public. So this way you have a mix of public and private cloud, and that's where the hybrid cloud comes into picture. So I saw a chat window where you are talking about the major vendor. I hope this answers your question. So IaaS, SaaS, and PaaS. So I have just mentioned one majority of the provider which gives you, but there are a lot of, and you would have heard about them on your day-to-day basis. So infrastructure as a service. So Amazon service is one of the cloud provider which are leader and market leader into infrastructure as a service. You also have Azure who are into infrastructure as a service provider. You also have Google who are into infrastructure as a service provider. You have Alibaba. You have a lot of providers now into this marketplace, and they all know that it is a very big area where they can make business, and there is a lot of unstructured infrastructure which is lying around. Uh, they can optimize it. When we talk about software as service, Salesforce is something which is a market leader for years. They are the leaders in providing the software as service. You also have other competitors and players coming into this section, but Salesforce is still leading by a very big margin. The third one, the provider is Google. And when I'm mentioning here, it doesn't mean they are the only one. I'm just telling they are the leaders in uh, into this. Are you guys able to see the PPT? I'm seeing some chat message that they're not able to see PPT. Guys, can someone confirm where you will?
Yeah, sir, we are able to see it.
So it's
Okay,
visible, sir. No
okay.
issue.
Visible.
Okay, okay. Thanks a lot. So probably who is not able to see, can you check your internet connection if there is some problem? Yeah. So moving on, as I was talking about, these are the three market players: Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platforms. So they are the leaders into IaaS. Moving on, if we talk about the software part of it, the number one priority for them is to isolate the software issues problem. So, for example, if we talk about software as a service, what value add it does. So, just a small example, right? If you install an operating system into your laptop, and you have an organization where your laptop Windows Microsoft license costs you somewhere around $4,000, for example. Okay, and now you have a organization which has a base strength of 3 lakhs to 4 lakhs employees like in TCS. So we have 4 lakh plus employees in our company. So you have to procure the license for 4 lakh employees. So you just do the calculation that 4 lakh employees and you are spending some 4,000 on only the operating system license. And then there are some at least 5 to 10 applications which are running on each individual laptop which are licensed, which are software, and these cost a lot of amount of money, and you have to go and if you are running in out of cloud environment, you see the amount of investment you are doing. Now suppose I as a salesforce comes to you and say, okay sir, you are running 4 lakh licenses, your cost is going into millions and billions. I have a solution. You don't procure license. Okay, whatever license requirement you have, you tell me. I will give you that services as a part of software, and you just utilize that service. You don't pay for me. So for example, if I'm paying 50 million for only my Microsoft licenses, and Salesforce comes to me and say, okay, instead of 50 millions, you pay me 20 millions and I will take care of everything. This is just an example. I will go into detail how it has been done, but you think about the kind of saving people have, right? And there's just one organization and one software. Now think about a larger organization which is running a larger CRM system. When we talk about CRM system, it is something which is a customer relationship management system, or we talk about ERP, which is enterprise resource planning. These are the largest softwares which are used by enterprise organizations, and they cost a huge amount, huge. If you talk about a database license, or you talk about SAP's license, they are in a, they cost you a lot of money. And the problem with that is once your license is getting expired, then you need to renew it. That is additional cost. If you talk about Google apps, right? Automation on demand. Like for example, you are using a Google Drive or a Google Photos in your phones. These are all what? These are hosted on cloud, right? They allocate you a 5 GB of space to every user. You think about the amount of space which is getting utilized and how they are making money out of it. They are making money by using this cloud platforms at the back end. Otherwise, you think about, they are giving you right, and how they are making use of it. They are storing your data on it. Same is the case with the Microsoft 365. Microsoft 365 is a game changer. Now you see a lot of organizations are on using this as a mail service, as for communication, for chatting, for sharing. So this one-stop shop for everything. So this is what the value add the software as a service brings you in. Yeah. Uh, there's a very important aspects of migration which probably we will talk about in shortly. But before that, I will just take a pause and wait for if you have any questions which we wanted to touch base on. Do you guys have any questions? Okay. All right. So even if you have, you can put it on a chat window. I should be able to see that, and I will answer that. Not a problem, right? So thank you, guys. Moving on. So we are pretty much clear. Just a quick recap on what we have covered. So now, so we have three kind of delivery models. We have four kind of deployment models. Then we have some important characteristics, right? So we have not touched base on the characteristics, but we have touched on the deployment models of it, which is infrastructure as a service, which is platform as a service, which is software as a service. And beneath that, then there are again underlining services which they offer, like storage as a service or database as a service or media as a service. How it can be a game changer, that's also we talked about. So like infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service has a huge cost. For example, if I talk about procuring a storage which is 100 terabyte, okay, so the cost of that is millions, okay, and now suppose you are a large organization, you will end up procuring like 100 of storages at a backend, which will cost you billions of your dollars, and now you are not effectively using it. Now think about infrastructure as a service. If I'm opting for, I just want the compute, I just want the network and the storage to be provided to me. That's it. I don't want to. Okay. Okay. So I don't want to do any kind of investment on procuring of hardware. I don't want to invest on hardware, because if we talk about my hardware is just a 5-year life. So that is what I have, right? So after 5 years, that hardware will get out of support, or there will be new technology which comes in, and then I will end up, that's a dead investment for me, because the technology is changing. And if I'm not refreshing my hardware, I'm running on an older system with lesser capabilities, lesser features, lesser flexibilities. So I don't want to get occupied and trapped into it, where my large amount of investment is going into the infrastructure procurement. And what I think is, okay, let me go to a provider which can be Azure or Amazon or Google or Alibaba for that matter. And I will tell them that, okay, I have some 10,000 systems to be hosted, and this is my requirement. We'll touch base on what requirements are there, what are the consideration when we talk about cloud offerings. Okay. Uh, this is just a slide which talks about what benefit we get out if we move on to the cloud. So you have integrated monitoring system, you have a single console to manage all your operations, you have policies, you have access controls, then you have consistency across systems. Your systems will be running on same code, they will be following same industry standards, they will be using common tools to have all the features which are enabled there. Their security underlining will be same. You will be leveraging on multiple technologies and features for those systems across. And the important point is, if you see into the IT part of it, you would have heard there are a lot of things which happens in terms of security, where you would have heard that, okay, this particular site has been hacked, or there are some malware attacks, or there are some vulnerabilities which are found in. And then there are human errors. So human error is the most common thing for bringing down the systems. So you would have heard of Facebook, or you would have heard of a Google and WhatsApp going down in the recent time, and that was all done because of a manual error. So somebody by mistake who is managing these systems did some changes on the environment, and that brought down the entire system. So the kind of impact which has on the human errors is very, very large. So cloud helps you to define blueprint, to automate patching, event management, and one-touch deploy. So we'll talk about what the one-touch deploy means, how we can do automation, and how we can do the metadata tagging in the subsequent slide. But just an overview of what benefit we are getting out of it. So we'll talk from the right to the left. So platform security is something which is the talk of the town, and it is very important to have your compliance in place. It is very important to have your security monitoring, user base accounting, governance, orchestration. So why it is important? So right now in today's world, uh, There are two aspects which are very important, and the first point is data. Okay, your data is very, very important. You cannot compromise on your data. So in any condition, in any clause, you should not lose your data. So there are various mechanisms which are being done on each cloud layer to ensure that at least you have the data security. Then there are compliance issues. Compliance issues, they talk about when you are moving your data across geographies, like you would have heard about GDPR. So GDPR is one of the compliance which talks about none of the data cannot be moved out of Europe. So this is a Europe-based compliance requirement where you cannot move your data across geographies. So those companies who are hosted in those geographies, they cannot move data out of Europe. They have to adhere to the GDPR requirement. Encryption is something which talks about your data he cannot read. So that is in an encrypted or a hash format where each of your data can only be read when you decrypt it with your cryptographic key. So that is a very important aspect. All customers in today's world require encryption. They require that we adhere to compliance and governance. And then there are security monitoring, which is again monitoring of your network, monitoring of your firewalls, each components, ensuring that you have hardenings on that, so that nobody can breach and go inside your data, right? So how we used to do in the traditional approach, so we used to have data center, the customer used to have its own hardware, its own network, its own software, its own platform, and he has to take all the headache to manage that. So companies approach these kind of customers and they said, look, we understand that you are having a big time managing your infrastructure, and we have a solution. What we can do is you can move all your environment into our cloud, and these are the three cloud offerings, which is public, private, and hybrid. We can do assessment end to end in your environment, and we can decide that okay, which one can we move to a private, which one we can move to public, and based on that we can define a migration approach and move things across. And then what customer is interested in, customer is interested in whether you are able to provide me the platform security, whether you are able to give me a benefit on saving of cost, whether you are able to provide me an environment which is scalable, which is elastic. Okay, so the cloud provider says why not, we can do that. And whatever the headache which you are having right now in managing your stuff, you give all that to us and you just run the services. You should not be bothered about what is running underlying. So in private cloud or in any kind of cloud, the majority enablement technology which comes in is the virtualization. Okay, and then virtualization is a key component which what it does is it convert your physical into a virtual layer where the physical hardware can be orchestrated in a way that the end user see it as an individual entity, but at a bottom layer or at an underlying layer sorry, at an underlying layer it is a shared service where your one storage is being scattered across or shared across multiple tenants, but you do it in a way that none of your tenants are able to see the other customer data. So that's how the cloud provider manage it. And when we go to private cloud providers, there are multiple players into it, and they do it more or less in the same way. They rely on different technologies like virtualization, like web technologies, like broadband network internet technologies, or multi-tenancy or service technologies to meet the customer requirement. So we have already spoke about the delivery models and what are the controls granted to cloud consumer, what are the controls that are typically made to the cloud consumers, which help them out to leverage on these services. So this is more or less like how the customer can use the service at their end. So there are three aspects to it when we talk about cloud. So there is one component which is called as cloud consumer. So cloud consumer is someone who uses the services, right? Then there is one more component, or I would say a person who comes into picture is cloud provider. So cloud provider is somebody who provide the services to the cloud consumer. And the third one is the cloud owner. So when I say cloud owner is the person who owns the cloud. So cloud consumer, cloud owner, and cloud provider, the three work together to meet the business requirement. So now we talk about what are the characteristics of a cloud. So whether it's a public, whether it's a private, or whether it's a hybrid cloud, whether it is infrastructure as a service, whether it's a platform as a service, or whether it's a software as a service. All the three cloud provider have to have some services, or I would say characteristics, which are a key or a must for them to meet the business requirement. And every customer is somebody who looks by default to these requirements. So on-demand self-service. When I say on-demand self-service, it is something which is one-touch deploy, or I would say which is something where you don't need any intervention from anybody, and you can simply click and meet your business requirement. For example, you want to deploy 10 machines which are running Windows 2016, and they are 4 GB RAM, or there are 4 CPUs, or they require a solid state drives. So the customer can select the catalog. We'll touch base what catalog is. So he can go to the catalog where he has different options, like you go into a mall where there are different sections which talks about, okay, you can have the kids wear on the first floor, you can have the men's apparel on the second floor. And these are the catalogs where you go to the kids section, and then you can see that, okay, the t-shirts on this side, the shoes are on that side. So that's how the cloud catalog works out. So the cloud catalogs are divided into the t-shirt size. So there are small, there are medium, they are large, they're extra large, they're extra small. There are different categories of fixed defined t-shirts. Like we have our t-shirts of small, medium, and large, and extra large. So based on your requirement, how you want to have the services, you select it on demand. So you don't need to reach to anybody, to Amazon or to Google, that okay, I want this. You have the portal, you have the access, and you can create on your own. And that is something which deploys in minutes. You don't need to work out, create a request, then take for approval, go into approval back and forth. So that was a cumbersome process which we used to do it in the earlier time, but that is something which is already fixed now. So on-demand self-service is the key characteristic for any cloud environment. And the reason why it is key characteristic is the time to deploy, right? Everybody wants the services to be up and accessible as soon as possible. And that's the reason cloud provide that solution. Otherwise, think of a traditional data centers where, for example, a college like yours, which is a reputed bigger college, and you want to expand, and integrate all your branches into a single portal. Now, if you want to do it in a traditional method, you have to analyze all the requirement. You have to see how many number of servers, how many storage, what is the network, what is the compute you need at the backend. Then you will set it up infrastructure, and then you will put a software on it which will compute it, and then you will be able to meet it. It's a long time, right? But how about you approach to a cloud provider and you see that there is a subsequent benefit in terms of deploying things, and still it's cheaper. So you will definitely go for something which is not a headache for you. For example, if the site goes down, you don't need to run here and there. You simply log a case or reach out to the provider, and they will fix it for you. So it becomes very easy. And for example, if something goes wrong by somebody, you can quickly restore it. So that is the benefit you get out of on-demand self-services. When we talk about ubiquitous network access, it talks about widely accessible. When I say widely accessible, it is something where, for example, I'm sitting today in India, tomorrow in Europe, day after tomorrow in America, or for that matter, in any part of the globe. I am widely accessible across anywhere. I can access my data across anywhere. That's how the cloud provide and solves the problem. Now you can work from anywhere, right? How we are doing that is one of the way where we are leveraging on the technology, and we are able to access our data which is sitting on cloud like OneDrive. So you have your systems which are connected to cloud, and you're syncing your data. Even your laptop goes down, you will be able to again bring it up in minutes with all the data without any loss. Resource pooling, coming back to resource pooling is a concept where, for example, you have 100 For example, you have 100 terabyte of space and you wanted to give to 100 people, and everybody want 1 terabyte. So effectively, you have 100 terabyte and you can allocate 1 terabyte. But now, suppose that your user require 200 terabyte or 2 terabyte per user. So by resource pooling, what you can do is you can still go and provision that without procuring, or that is something which technically called as over provisioning. And then there are concepts which is called as thin provisioning, which help you out in doing the pooling, where you can pool your resources in terms of storage, in terms of network, in terms of compute, where you can share your memory, you can share your CPU, you can share your storage, and everybody will use as per their requirement. For example, you do a planning and you think that, okay, I need 100 terabyte of space and I need 8 CPU and I need 48 GB memory, but you will not need that on day one. So you will slowly and gradually increase your workload, right? So in that way, you can use the same resource and you can share it across. That's how everybody does it. I was giving an example of your Google Photos or Google Drives. So they give you 5 GB, but effectively you are not using that 5 GB on day one. Your 5 GB will start utilizing over a period of time, and that's how they manage at the back end by doing the pooling. The last, I would say, important point in any cloud provider is the elasticity. When I say elasticity, it is the readiness to grow. So, for example, I have a business demand and I wanted to add some 1,000 servers. How soon I can do it? Or for example, I have a peak season period. So, if you see in Europe or US or in other geographies, when it comes to the year end, which is December, when the Christmas comes in or their peak season sale comes in. So there is a lot of load which comes by default onto their systems which are into retail or which are into manufacturing part of it, and they need capacity, more compute, more power, more space, only for a period of time. So cloud give you that leverage that, okay, during this particular month or two, you can expand your environment, and once your workload is again back to normal, you can simply stop using it and release that resources. So that flexibility, the elasticity gives to you. And last but the most important for every customer and everybody is the money. So I want to pay only for what I'm using. I don't want to pay for something which I'm not using. Like I said, that you may be having a lot of resources with you, but if you are not using it, it's a waste of resource. So why not only pay for what you use? So that's how the characteristics are defined in terms of the cloud. It applies to everybody. Other important aspect is the resiliency. So resiliency is something which is the robustness. For example, if everything goes down, if my server goes down, my data center goes down, there is an earthquake, there is a disaster, still I should be able to run my services from some other location. So that is something which is called as a disaster recovery solution, which the cloud providers provide to you, and there are a lot of ways to do that. Whether you want to sync your data on uh, in no time, and then you want to sync your data where you can accept some delay from your primary site, or you want to have both the sites same data. So there is a synchronous replication, there's asynchronous replication, and the third type is the metro replication, which comes into picture. So these are all the catalog offerings which I was talking about. You have to just select what you want and it will be provisioned at the backend. So we have already talked about, just to give you a brief overview, how the infrastructure as a service. For example, you are a consumer for cloud and you wanted a virtual server, right? Which is a 32 GB RAM, 4 GB space, and you want the SLA. So SLA is something which is a service level agreement. So service level agreement is something which talks about that, okay, 99.5% is something that my server should be up. I cannot afford a downtime of more than that. So cloud providers give you that flexibility, and they provide you the security that, okay, your server should be up and will be up by any means. That is something which is the cloud provider headache. And they will ensure that your SLA or the service level agreement will be 99.5%. No failover is something which I was talking about in the terms of DR, where a particular cloud consumer is ready that, okay, I don't want a DR, even if my DC side goes down, I'm okay. So in that case, you will not require for failover. But if it's a critical application, you can request for failover, and then you can define like what level of redundancy or what level of resiliency you want in terms of failover. Whether you want to have active kind of DR, you want to have active but a sync DR, but or you can have a cold DR. So based on the catalog, whatever you select, the price is being defined. You can see that that is $0.95 per hour. And if you want to transfer any data out of cloud, that is 0.05 per GB. Yeah. So same goes with platform as a service. So in platform as a service, again, you are being given a ready-made environment, which is a platform ready, and you are only opting for it. Again, you are saying that my SLA should be 99.5. And you are also offering that, okay, my application or whatever the platform which is being there, it should be able to service 5 lakh requests. So that's how the cloud provider selects catalog, and then he's charged for that. And if you see the product which the cloud consumer select, it talks about application server, which is having a database DMBS platform, which can cater your 5 lakh requests at a time. You can see there is one question mark which is been put up after the virtual server. That is the infrastructure layer, where the user is not being given the visibility what is running at the underlying layer. He is only bothered about the catalog which is offered in terms of SLA, in terms of price, and in terms of product. Next one is the software as a service. Again, you are only bothered about the software, and your service level agreement talk about the response time. So response time is a very critical and a key measurement whenever you talk about any kind of performance stats. So for example, you are using a net banking application on your mobile phone, right? And how much time you can wait after clicking the login button on your phone? Hardly a second or two, right? So that's what the response time talks about. So if your response time is higher, if you talk about the olden days when the internet was just started up, you remember like it takes a longer time for us to open a site, and we were okay with it. But nowadays, the way the speed is being the key indicator for any success or any business success. It is one of the key criteria. So whenever you are selecting any kind of cloud provider, the response time is something which is a differentiator. And any critical application, enterprise application have underlining benchmarking, which talks about that, okay, my application can sustain or handle only this much amount of delay. Again, it's a catalog which talks about like for the first 100 requests, or for the 100 requests, I will charge you $0.05. And that's how the billing is being done. So we have already touched base on the deployment models. We have already touched base on the type of clouds. And now the real question comes in, right? What is the kind of cloud is suitable for me, right? So this is a big question for any organization, for you, me, and for that matter, right? If somebody comes in and they say, okay, I wanted to move to cloud, but which one? Whether to public, to private, or to hybrid, whether to infrastructure, whether to platform, or to software. It's not an easy decision, and it requires a lot of brainstorming. It requires a lot of assessment to be done in your existing environment. So whenever we are approaching, we have to approach with an open mind, like, okay, I wanted to fix my problems in my environment, and let me see what all things we can fix it up. And as I said, one cloud may not be able to solve all your problems. You may have to choose one, two, or you may have to choose all three kind of clouds to fix your problem, right? And first of all, you have to understand the types which we have already spoke about, and what are your business requirement to select the right kind of cloud. So that's how you will be able to solve this business problem. So if you move on, again, we have touched base on this, so I will not emphasize more on this one. So if you have any questions, you can stop me out. We have already touched base on these, why we are using infrastructure, what are the benefits of it, okay, and what are the deployment models, and who provides infrastructure as a service, and pay for only the infrastructure use. That's already we talked about. We talked about the customer relationship management and enterprise applications, which are provided as a part of software as a service, and why we should be leveraging on software as a service. We also touch base on that quickly, where you don't need to install and run the hardware and software within your own data centers, and you don't need to procure and provision and maintain your software licensing. It's all something which you leverage for your provider to do that. So just quick update on why we need that, what are the benefits out of it, and how and how we can use the SaaS software as service cloud to manage your infrastructure. So last one is the platform as a service, which we talk about. How it allows you to develop, run, and manage your applications without the complexity of building and maintaining the infrastructure. Okay. Now, for any kind of software development, or for that matter, or for any kind of platform development, it requires a lot of testing. It requires a lot of troubleshooting. It requires a good amount of operation and building task which the companies put into bring in. And then there is a management of it, where you need to do a firmware upgrade, you have to fix bugs which are coming in, and there is a huge amount of efforts which company puts in. There is a huge amount of team which sits in and fix this up. So the cloud solves this problem. They give you a ready-made, proven, tested platform for you to use it directly, instead of you developing it from the scratch. So if I talk about a life cycle from the infrastructure to the application part of it, to give you an example, first of all, you have to install a server inside your data center, which is a physical installation. Once that server is installed, then you have to do a network and a fiber connectivity of that server, so that it can talk to your network and your storages. Once this physical layer has been completed, then you have to install the operating system on top of that server. Once the operating system is installed, then you have to install the database and the application on top of that operating system. Once that has been done, then you have to develop that application, test it out, roll it in your pre-pod environment, then roll it in production, and then there are different challenges which comes in. Yeah, so that's how you manage the life cycle of application, which is quite cumbersome. And now think about, somebody comes in and say, okay, you wanted to have SAP HANA in your environment. Here you go. You just choose the service, and there's SAP HANA for you. You avoid your lot of efforts, you avoid your all your investment, and you are ready to use your service. And down the line, if you feel that SAP HANA is not the right solution for my environment, I can move in to a different catalog offering, and I can choose that. So moving on, do you guys have any questions so far? If you have anything, you can put it on the chat window. So, Rajesh or somebody want to speak something? Okay, so I believe we can move ahead. So basically, we have already touched base on this part. I will just move on to one of the use case, just to give you a feel of how the infrastructure as a service works out with the AWS EC2. So for example, you are using AWS for creating your instances. When I say instances, it is nothing but an operating system running some applications, right? So when I say infrastructure as a service, we are only managing till the operating system layer. So what we do, we go to Amazon Cloud and we launch an instance, we configure that instance, and then we connect that instance over a network so that the end user can access it. So this is a Amazon web portal. You can see to it, it's quite self-explanatory, and it is something which anybody can use who has a basic knowledge of computers, right? So it talks about create instance. You only need to launch that instance, and then it will take you to a page where it will talk about the t-shirt size and the catalog which I was talking about, right? So now you can see which operating system you want to install in your environment, whether it is Amazon Linux, Red Hat, SUSE, Ubuntu, or Microsoft. Okay, or do you want to install a database instance for that matter? So you can choose any of the instance as per your requirement, select that. And once you have selected that, you move on, and then you select what is the instance type you want. Okay, so you are saying I want T2 micro. What I was talking about the t-shirt size. So T2 micro is the least, or I would say a very small configuration, which talks about only one virtual CPU, one memory, and the network performance is low to moderate. So we'll talk about all these points, like what this t-shirt size is all about, and then it comes to security group, what all protocol you want, and what port you want to open for this machine to communicate. Moving on, you will see what is the instance details, what is the kind of storage you are looking for, and if you want to tag it to some application, right? So here you say that, okay, I want this particular application using this particular IP with this particular DNS, and uh, this is the instance name, and just you click and launch it, and if you see it is running. So this is the time you take for launching or creating a machine and putting it into the production. Now if you see that is already been launched, you just go into the Amazon portal, or you can go to CLI access, and you just give the name of that particular instance, and you connect, and you are ready to use that. So that's how quickly you can provision a machine in terms of infrastructure as a service. And I explained it some time back that how difficult it is when you are doing it in terms of building it on your own. Now comes the important piece, which is migration. For example, one customer who is running in a traditional approach and he wanted to move to cloud. So what are the things he should be considering it? So the important aspect which he should be looking is the planning and the strategy, which is the most important point, because that is a key decider how you are going to end up. There are different tools and technologies which can run in your on-prem. When I say on-prem, it is something which is on-premise, which is your traditional data centers, where you can run the tool and you can see like which all application you can target to uh, move to the cloud. Now, another important aspect of cloud is automation, which is the key ask, or I would say by default ask for everyone today's world. How much you can automate the things, how much you can reduce the manual efforts or the efforts which is something which is taking a longer time. Then there is a second thing which is measuring, where you are able to measure what is the amount of efforts you are putting in, what is the amount of resource you are using in, and how you are using it. And then there are continuous improving which are there. Scaling is something which we already talk about, that we need elasticity which has to be on a higher pace. So before I move on, just a time check, Sushil or somebody can confirm if I have some time to cover it up, of there are other sessions lined up. If everybody is okay, can I cover up and continue with this? How much time do I have?
Sir, we are having the time limit till 11:30 because
Uh-huh.
with 30 minutes after 30 minutes break, we are having next session on 12 o'clock.
Okay, okay,
So,
all right. Okay, so I will just take 5 minutes more, and then we will
yeah,
quickly
yeah,
wrap.
yeah. Yes, sir,
Yeah.
no problem. You can have the discussion, doubt session, then we can wrap it up. No problem, sir.
Okay, okay. So this is one of the key slide whenever we are considering for what all customers or what all applications can be considered for cloud migrations. So the important aspect is what is the architecture, whether we need to scale out or scale up, whether it's a distributed, stateless, or infrastructure agnostic. So again, whether the customer wanted to go into a shared kind of environment, whether he need replication or not, whether the applications are loosely coupled or tightly coupled. So these are some of the key aspects or key requirement which the customer should be considering whenever he is planning to do a migration to the cloud environment. So moving on, even if you are planning to do a cloud migration, there is one more aspect which is related to the security part of it. So when we talk about security, it is the most important aspect which you should be looking in while doing analysis in terms of cloud environment, right? So when we talk about security, you need to do assessment on the security vulnerability. You also have to have a governance control. You have to have a limited portability. When I say portability, you should not be moving things across without understanding the impact of it. And then there are compliance issues which you need to take care of. Important aspects in terms of the return of investment and the total cost of ownership. These are the two important factors for any cloud planning. So whatever you are investing, whether you are getting a return on or you are getting a benefit on of it is the most important factor. And what is the ownership cost you were running earlier when you moved before you moved into the cloud. So that's something which is very important, and you should look into that before you planning to do a cloud migration. So working on any on-prem application, you have to see which application you can replace, which you can reuse, which refactor or re-platform or rehost and retain and retire. So quickly, I will just take a pause, and if you have any questions for me, uh, I will be happy to answer them. Okay, I see one. Yes.
Can you suggest me any cloud security related course which is standardized like ISO? Like there are people who say that this is a standard audit course which everyone has to comply with.
If I understand you correctly, you are talking about some kind of certification in terms of security audit.
Yes, sir. Correctly pointed out, sir.
Yeah, so there are a lot of courses. I missed this is Alok, right?
Right,
So
sir,
Alok,
right.
so there are cloud security audit courses in terms of all the cloud providers. So you can like it depends on which particular cloud provider you wanted to go into. For example, there is a course from AWS, there is a course from Amazon, there is a course for Google. So if I talk about Microsoft Azure Security Technology, there's one certification course which code is AZ500. Okay, so this is a course which talks about the
Sir,
sorry,
can you
Alok?
post that? Can you post that course name in the chat box?
Yeah, I can do that.
Sure, thank you, sir.
So it is for Azure, like that way, Alok, you can go it for AWS. So it totally depends on which particular cloud technology you wanted to do it for. So can you see the chat window? I just posted it. It looks like I don't have permission to paste it in the chat window.
Okay, just can you repeat, sir? I will write it down.
It's Certified Cloud Security Professional Course, CCSP. Likewise, you have it for AWS, which talks about specialty security engineer on AWS. And then there are cloud essential security courses as well, which you can go for, which is like vendor or I would say provider independent.
Yes, sir. I was actually trying to figure out any global which is applicable to all, or if it is mandatory to everyone, like Microsoft, Azure, and others.
Yeah,
Any global kind of.
so you can go for cloud security architecture and operation, Alok. So that course is SEC 545, which will help you out with almost like all the majority cloud provider vendors, how the cloud security is being concerned for majority of them. So that will help you out in terms of the course and followed by a certification on that. That course is SEC 545, Cloud Security Architecture and Operation. All right. So I see one more question from Pragya Shukla asking about, after creating instance, do you have a specific training to use the platform? Can you elaborate that, Pragya? What do you mean by training? Pragya, can you hear me? You're talking. Okay. Like any kind of programming skills. No, it totally depends, Pragya, what instance you are creating in. For example, if you want to do some kind of coding and you want to create an instance which has a Python installed in it, right? Or any kind of coding language which is part of it, then you need to have it, that skill with you. But if you are using that machine for simply a plain operating system for your day-to-day use, or for just storing your data, you don't need any programming skills for that. It's, when I say instance, it is nothing but a machine or operating system running on top of it. Now it totally depends if you want to have a database, or if you want to have containers, or if you want to have uh, any kind of application running on top of that instance. Then it will depend what kind of instance you need to create out of it. So instance is nothing but a machine which you are asking a cloud provider, whether AWS or Azure, to create for your requirement. So it totally depends what is your requirement. Snehal has a question like, are you talking about AWS from where to start and where to end? Means if you want to grab the opportunity industry after taking 5-7 years of gap in career, please. Very good question. So, Snehal, I would suggest that there are very good courses which are available on online platforms, where you can start with the cloud fundamental for first of all. Like in case of Azure or AWS, you just go to their portal, register on their portal with your email ID, and you will get a subscription of a 1 month. Okay, you can browse across all their options, all their features on that particular portal, and you can get benefit out of that. And then once you have a clear understanding of how that particular cloud provider works, what are the features they provide, then you can take a position in terms of what domain you wanted to go into. So unfortunately, 1.5 hours is too less for this topic to cover up, but just to help you out in terms of career opportunity, totally depends what career you wanted to make out of cloud, whether you want to become a developer, whether you want to become a admin, a cloud admin, where you want to do administration of cloud, where you want to do some kind of audit security domain, where you want to ensure that all your clouds are security added. A lot of opportunities. It totally depends on area of your interest where you want to take from there. So you can reach out to me. You can tell me your area of interest, and then I can guide you further which course will help you out to reach out to it. But to start with, go with the fundamental course of AWS if you want to go into AWS. Take a deep understanding of how the AWS works out, what are the terminology they use it for their environment, and then it will be easy for you to decide. Yeah. So any specific instance or proprietary software. Okay, so Pragya, as I said, like it totally depends what you want to get out of it. For example, when you're talking about infrastructure as a service, you select operating system. So till that layer it allows you. When you decide software as a service, then you decide which software you want to install on that. So you say, okay, I want, for example, I want Microsoft Outlook to be part of that particular machine. So you select Microsoft Outlook, or you want Oracle, or for that matter, you want Office 365, or any software which you can think about. You can select in that instance, and you will get it. So same goes with the platform. What kind of platform you're looking for, and you select that while creating an instance, and you will be able to use that. So it is as simple as that. So, guys, I think I'm pretty much into the end of my session. Unfortunately, because of the initial hiccup, I apologize again from my side because we were not able to start up. But I'm sure it would be of some help to you guys. And in case you need any further help, any doubts, any uh, uh, kind of clarification needed, you can reach out to me, and I would be very much happy to help you out. So thank you very much for taking time, and it was a pleasure for me to present this session to you guys. Thanks a lot.
Hello, Aditya sir. Thank you very much, sir, for delivering a session on introduction to cloud computing using the use cases. Sir, it was really the information which you have given to us was very enlightening. And you have shared your contact details with us. Those who have not able to solve their queries, not able to resolve their queries, they can reach to you the mail ID which you have given to us. So once again, sir, thank you very much for delivering very informative session. And from our side, sir, we apologize for the inconvenience that happened to you and to all the participants, sir. Thank you so much,
No,
sir.
no problem. Thank you everyone, and all the best to everyone. I hope you do great in your careers. All the best. Thank you.
And a request to all the participants, here we have shared one link where you can give your feedback. So before ending the session, you give us your feedback and we will be starting with our next session on sharp 12 p.m., which will be based on cloud providers by Mr. Moresh Kasikar, sir. So before leaving the meeting, kindly share the feedback, which is already shared with you by Sushil.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Actually, sorry to interrupt you, ma'am, but the form you have shared is only view
Yeah.
only mode. Please take it.
What happened, sir? I'm not able to clearly hear you.
Actually, the document, the feedback form shared by Sushil sir is view
Yeah.
only. It shows only. So we are
You
not
only,
able to
okay, you
edit
are
this
not
form.
able to edit it. Okay, okay, so we will
Yes.
change the right. We will change the right. You can able to edit it within a few minutes.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Any queries from the participants?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.
Please share with Puraj sir contact details or email ID.
Okay, okay, okay. I will share it with you.
How to edit that form, feedback form?
So you have to add your information and the points are given to you. I think you are facing now you have the editor right. You can edit it at your end. Please check. Yes, sir has shared the details. You can note down it. Sir has given his mail ID as well as contact number where you can share your queries. Thank you, Aditya sir, for sharing your contact details.
No problem. No problem. So if everybody would have noted it, am I good to drop this call? If nobody has
Yes,
any
sir.
queries, okay. Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Edit
Thank you, sir.
also.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone has noted the contact details given by Aditya sir.
Madam, contact detail once again.
Okay, I will share it in a chat box.
Very good.
Edit also. Madam, add also. ପଚାରିଲେ ପରା ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ସେମାନେ କଲେଣି କିଏ କିଏ
ମୁଁ କରିପାରୁନି।
Yes, everyone is able to fill the feedback form. Do you have any difficulty in that?
It is not.
have
it will
given
be
you the editor, right?
yes, you have, but due to the number of people using it simultaneously, it might have problem.
Yeah, yeah, it will take time.
ହଉଛି ଏଠି ହଉଛି
ହେଲା
କୋଉଠି କେମିତି କଣ କଲା
ଗୋଟେ ଇଏ ମାଧ୍ୟମ ଦେଉଛି
କୋଉଟାରେ ମାରିବି
ମୁଁ 17ରେ କରୁଛି ଆପଣ 16ରେ କରନ୍ତୁ
କଲେ କଣ ହବ ମାରିଲା ତ କଣ ମାରିଲେ ଆସୁଛି ନା ଲେଖା ହଉଛି
ହଁ ହଁ ହବ
କଣ
ଆପଣ ଅନ୍ୟ
Business credit.
I am unable to edit. Please, can you drop it in the WhatsApp chat? Feedback link on the WhatsApp chat.
Yes, sir. Can you please? Okay, on WhatsApp chat? Okay, sir, we will do that. We will do that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
चूतिया ने अपना प्रतिभा रखा